You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side. I'm singing that because I've just broken through to the other side. And I can't really say what I've done, but it was a while ago now, about a week ago maybe. But I knew this this song had to come out. One of the best ones that did, I think. But yeah, and like I said, I can't tell you what I've done, but it will become apparent what I've broken through. It's almost like if you imagine when the Channel Tunnel was being dug. I think I was in my car at the time listening to the radio, and there was some kind of ceremony when they hacked through and shook hands with the English and the British, should I say, and the French. Met under the English Channel. I don't know whether they call it the English Channel, the French, I mean. But it, in a very minor way, it was a bit like that. So, hello to you all. I don't know whether you saw Dell struggling with the OBS on Saturday night. Of course, I didn't see it on Saturday night. I never see anything live because I just don't have the internet here. So I feel as though I miss out a bit, and I'm always behind, catching up with people. And but I thought, I don't want to sound patronising, Dell, but I thought you did a very good job, extremely good, considering the circumstances. And I don't know what's gone on with Marshall, but things ran smoother. They appear to run smoother with Marshall, but that's just an observation. I don't know. I'm not going to guess. So, but I know you'll sort it out because you've got the determination, and that's all you need. You can do most things. Wouldn't think that you could get to the moon with determination, but you know what I mean. Hi. So, I noticed people were still struggling with air pressure, not realizing that it has to be contained air pressure. My God. We are under pressure now. We're living in an environment where there is air pressure. I think it's about 4 pounds per square inch. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm not that sure about that. But that's sea level also. Or if it's right, if that 4 pounds per square inch is correct, then that is measured at sea level, because sea is level and it's the same. But it isn't the same. Now that's a curious thing, because if you go south of the equator and say south of the Tropic of Capricorn, the imaginary line that is, then air pressure is less, which kind of points to a dome. But I don't, it kind of points to a dome, but I don't know about that. But there has to be some kind of a barrier to maintain that pressure. If there is a vacuum on the other side of it, and there could be, I mean, I can't rule that out, but it's certainly not somewhere that man can go, because there has to be some kind of barrier, unless there's a little door that the rocket goes through, and then when the door is opened, it would suck all the air out anyway. So obviously that is not what happens. So oh, here we are. So there we are again, the marble. Now, if you imagine the atmosphere, we'll say atmosphere because I'm saying this is a sphere, of course, and I'm pretending that this is the Earth. It takes some pretending these days. But the people who still believe that this is the shape of the Earth also believe, they have to, that this was started with the Big Bang, but I'm not talking about that. That is total nonsense, but they have to believe that if they believe this is the shape of the Earth. But if you imagine this is the Earth, and it would have an atmosphere on it, the size of the atmosphere would be so small. You know, it's about, what they say, 200 miles or something. Nobody really could tell you exactly where space begins. Isn't that weird? The vacuum of space, they don't really know where it begins, yet they send rockets up, apparently, which is obviously nonsense. So, surrounding it forever and ever, infinity, shall we say, just as a guide, a rough guide, there is a vacuum. So what stops the vacuum pulling that atmosphere off and everything else that's not nailed down? Gravity. That's what they'll say, but it's a very weak force, apparently, gravity. So if you have ever pressurized something on Earth, you know, where we live on Earth, I'm not saying this is Earth, obviously not. It's not even the right shape. It's a bit small as well. But if you've ever pressurized anything on Earth and then release that pressure, whether it be a vacuum or the opposite, then when you release the cap, you know, open that door, it immediately equalizes with its surroundings. So that's a problem if you believe that that is the shape of the Earth and it has a tiny thin skin of atmosphere on it, because the strength of the vacuum or the pressure or, you know, the vacuum, I suppose, is far stronger than the gravity. You know, the fantasy of gravity, the theoretical force that can't be a force, called gravity, that doesn't exist. It means that this isn't the shape of the Earth. The atmosphere is wrongly named because it's not a sphere. Atmoplane. It has to be, you know, I don't like that word. It doesn't trip off the tongue very easily. But atmosphere is incorrect. Just call it air. Now, I wouldn't say I'm an insomniac, but there are times when I find it very difficult to get to sleep. And most nights I can listen to I do listen to the shipping forecast. And when you get to know what all of, you know, the terms mean, it's quite interesting. You get to know the sea areas that go around start at the top of the British Isles and they go round clockwise and finish back up the top, the sea areas. And they talk about pressure, air pressure changing. It changes. and that means there's differentials that are equalizing all the time. And the reason why they change is the heat of the sun, and that's it, really. I don't think there's any other reason why they do change. I may be wrong on that one, but as far as I know, it's the sun warms up the oceans and the air, and that creates variance in the pressure, and they will try to equalize, and that creates the wind. It's very obvious. Now, if we were on this shape and we were spinning at 1,037.5 miles an hour on an axis, and also traveling around the sun at 66,000.6 miles an hour around the sun. Obviously, it takes a year in their model to get round. There's loads of problems with that. Many problems with that. Like why, if the sun is that's the sun and that's the Earth, and of course that's the lit side, so on this side is darkness. So we're looking out there to the night sky and we see constellations. 6 months later, it's the other way around. We are looking out this side. This is obviously the lit side. We're looking this way at constellations, but we see the same ones. Isn't that weird? That's because this is bullshit. It beggars belief that people still are obsessed with this spinning ball bullshit. So I've kind of forgotten what I was going to say now. Typical of me, that. But it was to do with the winds. Oh yeah, the wind, of course. No, so you're traveling around at 66,000.6 miles an hour round the sun, and it's spinning at 1,037.5 miles an hour to make the day. Don't you think you might feel that wind at least? Don't you think that might just upset your hair? Does my hair look all right, by the way? I don't think you would have a head, never mind hairstyle, if this if this were really true, you know. It's unbelievable. And that's not the extent of the speed of the Earth and solar system in the heliocentric model, by the way. We are traveling at, well, there are various different speeds I've heard of, because when you lie about something, the lie alters and changes. It's never the same lie, because the truth is the truth and it doesn't alter. But a lie is very variable, just like the distance to the sun. It was 3 million miles, then it was 9 million miles, then it was 50 something, now it's 93 million miles. See what I mean? Bullshit. So the absolute speed varies between, I've heard, 1.2 million miles an hour and 2 point something million miles an hour. I say it's, you know, just to be average, I will say 1.5 million miles an hour. Do you think the atmosphere would still cling to this spinning ball if that were true? Everything works so perfectly and scientifically if you know that the Earth is a plane. And of course it's not flat. There's hills, valleys, all that. But the water is flat and level. Now it could carry on beyond what we know, or it could be contained, but it has to be contained somewhere. I'm not going to say it's an infinite plane. I think that's ridiculous. But anyway, I've gone over my time. I'll have to go.